Baby, whether you're high or low.
Timer?
Baby, whether you're high or low.
Sorry, we don't need timers.
On the tightrope, baby. Okay. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Halfie Project podcast. My name is Becky, sitting across. Well, there's no table between us, but sitting over next to me is Cedric Sky City.
Hello, everyone.
And it's good to be here for another episode of the Halfie Project podcast. Rather than calling it a episode, actually, this was kind of, how do you want to describe this? Like an unloading of the mind and a reminder to ourselves and our listeners about who we are. On this podcast and on this YouTube channel, obviously, if you have been listening to the Halfie Project podcast or you watch our videos on YouTube, you know the whole thing that we talk about is identity. And I think finding humanity and shared humanity through our stories and our experiences. And even though we talk to people who come from all over the world, who look all very different, the thing that we have in common is that we believe nobody should be judged by how they look, by the color of their skin. And we believe that very strongly. And I think it's inevitable here on the Halfie Project, because in reality, that is what we're documenting and researching, isn't it?
Right.
This systematic discrimination of people who look different, who are not the majority, and people who maybe historically didn't have rights. Now, it's funny that we're saying that on the Halfie Project, because some people would be like, that's right, yeah, mixed race people, sure, that's us. And that's true. And the thing we cannot forget is that right now we see in the United States that exact issue, which I just said here, which many of us probably relate to, is happening on a large scale. And it has been happening for a very long time. And now we are seeing the results of long-time oppression and a simmering anger that is finally overflowing. So I think, why did we bring it up here? Because we're the Halfie Project podcast, right? We're not like Black Lives Matter podcast. But you know what? In reality, we are that as well. That is something we stand by. And if you believe in what we stand for here at the Halfie Project, that you shouldn't be judged by how you look, then there is no other way to put it but then to side yourself as well with supporting our brothers and sisters of color all over the world. Obviously, I'm not here to just say everything my own, what I'm thinking, even though I have quite a lot of feelings inside, but I imagine that you also have probably stuff on your chest, whether you want to say it openly here or not. But I think people would like to hear maybe just how you're feeling right now.
Yeah, I mean, I could honestly say a lot. And I'll try not to get emotional because now, I'm sitting here listening to you and I'm, kind of feeling emotional a bit. But I'll start off by saying that it is my firm belief and viewpoint and perspective, and I would hope that most people would share in this, that every single human being is equal. We are all created equal. Whether you believe in God and created in the image of God, or you just believe in humanity from a biological standpoint, either way, we're all created equal, no matter what perspective you hold. And the thing is, we're all different in our own ways, whether it's through culture, the way we look, but at the same, at the end of the day, we are all the one and the same. Our value is the same. Yeah. And so I say that because I say that as a reminder and also as an encouragement. A reminder to those that may sometimes forget, whether it's purposefully or subconsciously, that everyone's the same. Yeah. You're not better than anyone else. But also say that as an encouragement to people who may feel like they've been kind of put under, and people who, who maybe as a result of how society has treated them or people have treated them, feel like maybe they are lesser. And so just with the recent events, and, I say recent events, but it's been going on, like you said, for decades, hundreds of years, really, when it comes to, my people. My heart breaks, but I think we're finally at a breaking point that I haven't really seen or experienced. I feel like my dad's generation and my grandmother's generation has seen and experienced it in their own way, but I think our generation now is kind of at that tipping point. So with that being said, I don't know. I have a lot of emotions. I feel hurt. I feel anger. I feel compassion. But I just feel like now is the time for something to really happen. And it has to be, because like how many more nationalized or even at this point globalized situations, or I should say situations that gain global attention, how many more do we have to have before something happens? Like, we can't ignore it anymore. So yeah, I'll just kind of leave it at that, and then we can, discuss or go back and forth. But I'm doing okay, because I feel like, one, I'm fortunate, but two, I also have the ability in whatever way to hopefully make a small impact or to contribute to a discussion on this.
Right. So some people might be asking, hang on, you guys aren't even in the US, you're not witnessing this right now. You're removed from it, and you have been for a couple of years. Okay, it's a fair statement to say physically we are not present and not our immediate surroundings. But the fact remains is that this is also part of our own history, our own cultures, our own upbringings. And the people who are suffering right now and have been suffering for a very long time in the United States and other countries. In fact, I would say almost every country that has seen systematic racism. We witness that, and here on the Halfie Project, we are speaking, we share these stories and these experiences, and we make this a safe place for people to be able to talk about that, because we believe by sharing your experiences and your stories in just your personal way is an extremely powerful way to change societies, because it is through stories you gain compassion, understanding, and I believe those are the keys to trying to make change for the better. This all being said, I just want to address briefly maybe people saying, but you shouldn't do it in a violent manner. I think no, nobody ever wants violence. Nobody ever wants violence. But it is the consequence of people who have been pushed down and silenced for a very long time.
Right.
And we have seen this over and over and over again happening in history. So I believe right now is a very pivotal time. And I think if you remain silent, even if you have remained silent prior to this and you didn't know what side you stood on, I do think now is so pivotal. History will not look kindly on those who decided not to make a stand. So I think, obviously it is always the time, but now it is at the forefront.
Right.
And just wanted to let our listeners and our viewers know what side the Halfie Project is on.
Right. Yeah, very good. And just as an encouragement as well for everyone out there, is we all are on a journey of learning about other cultures, about other people. One thing that I want to encourage everyone to do, especially if you're in a position where, say, you feel like you're maybe a little bit more privileged than, say, your African-American counterparts. If you're on the other side or on a different side, one, it's okay, because we all got to start somewhere, right? What I would ask and encourage is, just now is the perfect time to try to educate yourself. We have tons of resources. If you have access to the internet, there are tons of resources. Yeah, it might be overwhelming, but at least just start and just start to see what people are saying, start to see what history says. And then I think from that point, you'll begin to understand a little bit more. And yeah, it's a journey, you know. So I want to encourage that especially, but at the same time, I just want to say, yeah, we want to have these discussions, and sometimes they're uncomfortable. Like the Halfie Project is not about, you know, happy stories all the time.
The Halfie Project in itself is actually very uncomfortable for a lot of people. Yeah.
Right. Understandably. And sometimes it can get uncomfortable for us, but we're willing to talk about it. Yeah. So I think the key is discussion, listening, and trying to understand. So before casting any sort of judgment, and this goes either way, you know, but casting any sort of judgment, try to listen and understand and try to see the perspective of others, especially those that have been suffering. That would be my encouragement, you know.
Oh, but thank you for sharing. Okay, guys, we're keeping it really short and sweet this time. We want to know what you have to say. Actually, we have had some people, some listeners, have written in expressing their extreme outrage or hurt. And just wanted to say to you guys that we are totally listening, and we are completely doing our best to understand you and do what we can from where we are. So if you want to just write in, you want to share something, or you need a listening ear, we are always available. You can message us DM via the Instagram account. You can leave a comment if you're watching this video on YouTube, or you can always get in touch via email at thehalfieproject@gmail.com. We are the Halfie Project.